Charles, I'm glad to be sitting down with you and chatting. We've had a lot of ad hoc conversations around AI over the last 4, 6 months, and I sat in on your first one-shot labs in December,
Yeah. Yep.
which is crazy that it was
Four
only
months.
4 months
Yeah.
ago.
Right.
It feels like it was both
Right.
yesterday and like years almost.
Uh-huh.
Um, that we're doing a new episode for the
Mhm.
Riskcast podcast that came out of the OpenClaw Night
Yeah.
that we also
Yeah.
both got to share on,
Mhm.
and it just seemed like there's a growing community in Charlotte, but also everywhere else
Yeah.
around.
Yeah.
Really, not just OpenClaw, but OpenClaw,
All
the
the
AI
claws.
agents,
Uh-huh.
the things that are possible
Yeah.
today and in the months and further out ahead
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
these tools.
It was a
So
packed house. It
it
was
was
awesome to see all the interest. So
it was so much
yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
So excited to have you, and you easily had the most uh, aggressive, interesting, like cutting
Uh,
edge OpenClaw system. So we'll want to get
thanks.
into
Yeah.
that, but
Yeah.
also the other things that you're building and what you're doing with your other agents.
Sure. Yeah.
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 So
Thanks for having me.
yeah,
Um. Yeah. So I mean, uh, I've really, I don't know, just enjoyed chatting with you and had it was really interesting, I guess, seeing your claw as well, your experiment with just basically throwing the slides up on that you had never seen
yeah, yeah,
before and walking through. Um, it's funny that I mean I've done the same thing to a certain degree. Like the amount of time I spend prepping
yeah,
isn't like has gone down dramatically for any kind of meeting, even if I have to have like a polished slide deck. Be like, I have a meeting in about an hour. I think I should probably start on that deck now,
yeah,
right? And so seeing you kind of like go through it live was really cool. But yeah,
yeah.
uh,
Thank you. Yeah, it seemed like it was a good use case, and I think it really worked well because of the audience where we had some people that were clearly aware but had not really played with it. And
yeah,
look, this is a live thing. Like I know that
hmm
it should be capable of this.
hmm
The agent obviously is aware of why I'm building it and how I interact with it. Let's see
yeah,
what it comes up with,
sure,
and maybe skewed a little more marketing salesy narrative than practical implementation. But it was fun. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And then your experiment, on the other hand, was
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely
run a company, right?
yeah,
Like,
it's well, so it was definitely an experiment. And the experiment was still running live after the event up until Claude cut off OpenClaw, and I
okay,
haven't yet kind of reconfigured
yeah.
it.
So you were
But yeah,
using the OAuth.
yeah, I
Yeah.
was, I
Okay.
was, yeah, yeah. So I had a couple Claude subscriptions that I
Yeah.
was using kind of under the hood with OpenClaw. Um, but yeah, I mean, I had started seeing basically all these capabilities kind of in silos: marketing, sales, customer success, engineering, right? Essentially leadership, right? I've been using Orchestrator agents quite a bit in software development,
Yep.
and I was like, I mean, you could probably run a whole company like,
Yep.
and I'd started seeing some folks talk about this as well. Like, um, Elon Musk he had an interview where he talked about the how computer changed from basically a human role, a whole building full of people whose job it was to do hand calculations because they were computers. That was a job, and then the computers basically became a physical object that did that job. Um, People still were using Excel, right? And
Yeah.
but Excel, whatever software they're using, would do the calculations for them, right? And one of the things he said was like, if you could imagine just like any one of those cells having to still be done by hand by a computer, like it breaks the whole thing, right? And the same
Yeah.
thing from a company standpoint. At a certain point, you look at it and you go, if any one of these functions still depends on a human, it dramatically slows down the entire operation,
Yeah.
right? So I thought, okay, I need to experiment with this, right? And so I set it up. I basically had I took one of we have a small SaaS product that it has real sales, real customers, but it's nothing crazy in terms of like the amount of traffic we're getting day to day. It's called dimeadozen.ai. And I was like, this could actually be a perfect use case. It's kind of like a standalone product. I don't feel like I'm taking too much risk, with
Yeah.
a little bit of revenue it's bringing in. Let me see if I could take this and just run it, the entire thing end to end with agents. So I stood up basically a CEO, agent, engineering, which is probably like the biggest part of the experiment. I'll talk about more, but like set up a customer support agent that would hook in with our intercom system and respond to tickets, and then a marketing and basically a marketing sales type agent that would be creating content for social mainly, but
Yep.
also doing emails and any other kind of marketing they might come up with. Now that maybe anything else they might come up with is kind of like a broader experiment with the agent team, which
Yeah.
was within its instructions essentially for this team. I had to be very explicit with, I want you to be thinking of new ideas, being innovative, really trying to push the envelope. But there is a broad goal of maximize profits for this company
Yep.
within ethical boundaries.
Yeah. I liked that you
Yeah.
made it a point
Yeah.
when you shared that night, and again,
Uh-huh.
like within the ethical boundaries,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
building that in at the foundation.
Yeah.
I think you had your like a culture document as well. So I
Yeah.
mean, it really sounded like you essentially took this idea of, okay, I've seen orchestrator engines run code
Yeah.
and be able to build things, but
Yeah.
the same thing applies as long as skills are reasonably well defined. And what's a lean startup team? It typically starts with the co-founders, maybe the first couple of employees,
Mm-hmm.
basically have a function and the flexibility, the ability to move outside of that, the crossover between
Right. You gotta
areas and
like
just
wear a lot of
figure
hats.
things out. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it felt similar to how you'd probably imagine building a company from scratch, thinking, okay, what are the high level goals? What are the boundaries? What is our culture? What is our, what are our ethics? Some of it is almost like not even necessarily professional or like company building, but it's setting ethical boundaries for an individual, like similar type of thing of if you were to work with a human, you're talking about the types of human. Maybe in hiring is a good analogy. Like if I'm going to
Yeah.
hire someone, right? Um, I want them to be bringing a new perspective, but there's still kind of like common ethical guidelines that we want everyone to abide by. I've seen where agents don't always necessarily have that baked in. I've seen where agents will fabricate testimonials or
Yeah.
make up whatever they need to in order to accomplish a goal. Like there's
Well,
not really
yeah,
that same sense of like, oh, this might not be right.
I think probably one of the worst examples, maybe not the worst, but that jumps out was I saw where a team had implemented some of these agents underneath and they thought that they were generating sales. It was really just like a lead gen agent going to the like account executive agent. They just had a loop happening in between them. I assume because they
Uh-huh.
didn't really have those kind of boundaries, and they're like,
Yeah. Right.
well,
Yeah, you gotta be careful with like what goals you set. I mean,
yeah,
similar to like a human team, you might like there's been many iterations of incentive building for human teams, right?
yeah,
Where it's like if you incentivize lines of code, right, you get more lines of code. Not necessarily
yeah,
more functional software, you get more lines of
yeah.
code.
It
The same
applies
thing
to
applies,
everything
maybe
else. Are
even
your
to a
incentives
more
aligned to the
extreme, right?
behaviors you actually want
Yeah,
and the
yeah,
outcomes? Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
yeah,
So I went through that whole process, and I can't say that it was totally hands off probably at any point, right? Like the goal was to basically get a completely self-sufficient company, right? In reality, it did decrease over time, but initially there was a lot of training.
yep,
um, Maybe another parallel to a human team, right? You just like needed a lot of direction early on and correction,
yeah,
um, and then over time that kind of dropped off. Um, I definitely saw where okay, I'd get too busy to really give feedback for a period of time, and the team would be less productive without my direction. Still not going to zero, but
Yeah.
like there's some technical challenges still, right? With authentication and even like captchas and things like that, where social platforms are pretty sensitive about having automation.
Yes.
Um, and then there's just like um, the way that agents fail is like surprising sometimes, like superhuman in certain ways, but then really dumb in other ways. Like just uh, it's just like surprising. Like sometimes a very very simple solution for you or I isn't immediately obvious
Yeah.
to an agent. So um, having to suggest the simple option sometimes is something they need. It's still crazy the fact that I could just like occasionally nudge, a group of agents and they drive a business,
Yeah.
right?
When,
But yeah,
like I said, not a whole lot dissimilar in some ways from humans, but I think the loop there and
mm,
the time scale to get to a more sustainable place probably faster than onboarding people
yeah,
with
mm,
less less context coming
mm-hmm,
into the role.
yeah,
They
yeah,
might have those skills,
mm-hmm,
but the ability to integrate into the team, refine how they understand the product or
yeah,
your processes,
mm-hmm,
that can often take a long time.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's one of the things I'm trying to do for real now.
Yeah.
It was an initial experiment essentially with Dime a Dozen. I really, the main goal of running experiments like that is to learn what I need to learn, to
Yeah.
know where are the gaps and like how, what are the systems I need to tweak when I actually do this for a client or maybe for something with higher risk for myself, right? And so I'm really excited about really starting to put that into production cases with clients where
Cool.
I've started sitting down and talking with folks who are, experts in the industry and being like, hey, like, could you partner with me to help? Would you be interested in an AI employee really to
Yeah.
take maybe a part of your job, something that's done entirely on a computer today, um,
Yeah.
and
Managed
automate that?
agents,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. I don't know if you saw like Claude came out with
We,
managed agents like
oh,
just today, I believe.
yes, I saw that and immediately was like, this is great timing that it's coming up right before we talk, because I know you've already
Mm,
been experimenting with what these looked like before it was
yeah,
packaged as a feature from Claude,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
And
So I'm really interested in what they're doing. Um, there's they're they're a very safety conscious company, which is awesome, right? We
yeah,
want to be deploying agents safely. At the same time, sometimes I'm willing to maybe uh, push it a little bit further
yeah.
than than what the initial like solutions from a bigger lab
I,
is willing to
I
do.
love that
Yeah.
you're doing that. I think it's funny that
Uh,
I have not done that with my agents quite
mm,
yet. Like they've
mm,
even even the one, social media marketing flow, for instance, where like I got it all connected. It
yeah.
technically was creating
Mm,
content, and this
yeah.
was into 11 labs to actually generate, the audio and
Mm,
video for the the brand that I wanted,
mm,
but it wasn't perfect,
mm,
and I stopped it from like turning the full switch on and really going,
mm.
because I felt like there was enough variation from piece to piece that's created that I just, oh, I don't. And I actually think in many ways it should just be like, let's just do it. Let's just
Yeah,
get
yeah,
it
yeah.
out there, see
So,
how people respond to it.
right,
Like
right, right. Yeah,
things that I
yeah,
would advise,
yeah.
companies I've worked on, or if I
Mhm.
get on a
Mhm.
project, like experiment in real life instead of, well, I experimented and then I stopped myself from
Right, right, right.
taking the next step.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of folks I've worked with, and it applies for building like an MVP for an app. Folks get at a very early stage, like just very um, I don't know, hesitant to put something out there when they're like, I don't want my baby to be ugly, right? Like I don't want to put
Yeah.
this ugly thing out in the wild and then people judge me because it's like not, up to my standard or whatever
Yeah.
it may be. And I totally get it. But at the same time, the earlier you can start learning, the better. And so if you're willing to put ugly solution, the incomplete solution out there, it's going to start speeding up the whole cycle that much faster. Um, yeah, I'd say that's one of the biggest, like, I don't know, challenges I've seen with folks is,
Yeah.
just putting it out there. Um, Finding ways to limit risk, like finding, a small product or a small component of your idea and being able to put that out
Yeah.
there.
One, I
Yeah.
think from guardrails perspective as well, you had said it initially, like
Yeah.
the one thing they didn't do is actually touch and control the money movement.
Right. Yeah, that was one thing I held back on.
Yeah.
Was hoping maybe at a certain point to get to allow more money movement, and there actually are solutions that are coming out from like Stripe and others that are specifically geared toward providing more payment um, capabilities to agents,
Yeah.
right? Which is awesome to see, and wild that we can like officially support through a large provider, like a credit card issued to an agent with like a
Yeah.
low credit limit or whatever it may be, and set up the guardrails that you want. I mean, this whole thing's really wild, and I think that most folks, if you just like went out and talked to the average person, have no idea just how much
No.
things have changed.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
uh,
and again,
yeah,
changed already over the last 12 to 18 months.
sure, yeah, and
But
continuing to
also
accelerate.
continuing to move forward.
Right.
The conversations at Bank of America, which is one of the largest financial institutions in the world, and so it's moving a tanker, right, or a cargo ship in order to turn. And I have teammates that have been there decades that are making comments like, this is the fastest they've seen things move here.
Oh wow, okay,
Because you are having teams that like, maybe it's not there yet, maybe it's not quite like Stripe where there's stuff in production or in testable, but the conversations are happening. Like they see like how do we plan now and then get it out as fast as possible,
sure,
to support the agentic systems that are, if they're not already capable of connecting into the banks and being able to monitor your credit cards or your bank accounts or money movement. It's heading that way. It's around the corner, and people are going to want it because in some ways those are really defined things. Like, you want to be able to pay off invoices like at the cutoff date, right?
Sure.
If you're net 60 terms, I want to
Sure.
I want to be able to find these rules and hand it to an agent and pay it off. I want to pay my credit card bill, like all those things that a lot of times people end up having to pay attention to.
Yeah.
What if you don't?
Sure. Yeah. So I think, you're definitely quickly moving to a world where everyone has their own personal agent, I think. And we don't, maybe the amount of mental load that we all have to carry around decreases, as we all have our own personal Jarvis, essentially.
Yeah.
Which is really exciting. But there's still, a huge knowledge gap and just awareness, that needs to be closed. I feel like that's why I started doing One Shot Labs. Actually, was like I just felt like there's such a huge knowledge gap here, such a great opportunity for folks like in dev roles for one, but product, sales, everything, to just learn these skills that are applicable. Right, I focus specifically on software, but like what I've realized is the skills that I've learned from working with agents to build software are directly applicable to basically every other white collar role. And so I'm trying in through that to just like spread awareness and capability. Within a couple days of really like focused effort, I feel like most people can get pretty sufficient, or like get to the point where they can start to teach themselves working with AI, right?
And going beyond just the back and forth with a chatbot, but like actually understand,
right?
How am I building something? How am I, whether again, I think it's tech or you're a person that's been in marketing for years. Well, It's not just, oh, give me a market plan. It's no, how do you set up the skills that way it has some
Yeah.
of your knowledge base and
Yeah. Yeah.
you can go pretty quickly
Right. I think the
up the
biggest
learning
hump
curve.
is just that you have to get over is just that initial one of
Yeah.
like fear of the unknown or like, oh, this feels very technical. And I think in the past, a lot of solutions have been like a lot of work, right? And
Yeah.
I'm not saying this isn't work, but it's different and I feel like it's just so much more fulfilling to like work on and learn these skills in terms of like working with agents.
Yeah.
Um, the the fruits of your labor are just like so much more rapidly there. Like
Yeah.
it's really exciting because like I've always been focused on outcomes and product, right? And I love building, right? But the amount of just like grind you have to go through in the past to make small amounts of progress
Yeah.
has been a lot, has been really high. And I feel like now, if you're willing to put in some amount of work into learning and using these tools, the amount of progress you can make is just like enormous, right?
Yeah.
Like unimaginable, right?
Yeah.
So,
What would have taken
uh,
teams months before
yeah,
you can
yeah,
do with multiple agents
right.
in days or weeks.
So I find that very motivating, right? I'm just like anybody else. Like, I mean, I'm hesitant to pick up a new tool that looks like, oh man, it's going to be a big learning curve. Like, I was very I don't know, hesitant with like AI workflow builders in the past, like
Yeah.
N8N, right? I can't say I ever, I never wanted to spend the time to like really master
When
N8N.
that type of automation, it always felt like, or going into CRM tools and then connecting those into
Yeah, yeah.
workflows in other companies before, like, is it automated? Sure. But I always felt like there were the gaps around the use, like
Mm,
the happy path
mm-hmm,
felt big.
mm-hmm.
Whereas it feels like this is the one where relatively easy to learn. I can kind of give it the direction. And because there's just that next step up in what it can understand,
Mm-hmm.
maybe outside of context,
Mm-hmm.
it feels like it's able to close some of those gaps.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
it sounds like similar to your experiment,
Yeah.
even if it doesn't right away. Well, now it's just a quick back and forth with me,
Yeah.
and we fill in context. And now it's got new memories and
Right.
skills that
Right.
it doesn't. I don't end up in the same loop again.
Yeah. Right. Theoretically. Yeah. Things are
Theoretically,
still not perfect,
yeah,
but yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Um, yeah. So, I mean, I feel like the more I can just work with my agent that's similar to how I would work with a new coworker, the better it feels, right? I
yeah,
don't want to learn a new software system. I just want to interact in natural language with something that is going to learn and get better at the job I'm giving it, right?
yeah,
I've never felt more I guess like I worked as an engineering manager at Vanguard. Was there for over 12 years and worked with some really talented people, right? Technical leads, architects, etc., right? And I feel like today building new software systems has just in the last couple months, I would say, like I feel like I'm interacting with Claude very similar to how I used to interact with tech leads and architects at in my role at Vanguard. Extremely capable.
yeah,
But then the types where I'm adding value is connecting the dots across kind of with a broader view of things
yeah,
and knowing where I need to dig in, where I need to ask more questions, um, and yeah, it's but the wild thing is that like I can interact with Claude and the quality of the types of um, ideas that Claude presents me with
yeah.
is you know incredible, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's really cool stuff. So the experiment that you were running said has not been going since the Anthropic change to be able to OAuth in.
Yeah.
Now you've got those lessons learned though. What's the next iteration of the experiment?
Well, fortunately, Anthropic made a lot of updates to Claude Code prior to cutting off
Yeah,
the OpenClaw OAuth connection, and the next iteration is just using Claude Code directly.
cool.
Um, so, I mean, there was a couple unique things about OpenClaw that were really valuable, right? One is the proactive nature of having the heartbeat, where you
Yep.
could configure that to whatever you wanted, 15 minutes or, every hour or whatever it may be. But you don't have to reprompt. It just, wakes up on a cycle and
Yeah.
looks to see if there's a job to be done. Um, and that was the biggest thing. Now with Claude Code, you can set up a loop. And I mean, it was possible before, but it's becoming a more core capability now.
Yeah.
Uh, there's still some experimentation to be done in that space because and I'm literally going through the cutover right now, so I'm going to see like if everything kind of works within Claude Code,
Okay.
the same way that I hope and expect that it will. Um, but yeah, so that was the loop, and being able to set up the uh, it had a built-in memory system. Claude Code has now its own memory system, very similar um, to OpenClaw. There's actually a lot of different ways to create memory essentially within Claude Code. Um, like initially there was the claude.md file where like basically that was basically the persistent memory space,
Right.
and then um, they introduced
Nice.
skills, right? It was like,
Yeah.
okay, oh, interesting, okay, what should go in skills versus claude.md, right?
Similar thing now within
Yeah,
projects
now
as
similar with
well.
projects, and similar with uh, they have a new like memory, essentially memory.md, and with a memory system within Claude Code. Um, folks ask me like, okay, like, wait a second, help me make sense. Like, how am I supposed to use all these? And it's actually not totally clear if you just by going through the documentation or even playing
Yeah.
with it.
There's not one
Yeah,
complete setup
yeah,
yet.
yeah, yeah.
It's a little bit tailorable still.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So I tell folks like, actually, don't worry about that too much. Like, everything really at the end of the day is context engineering. You have one context
Yeah.
window, right? And however that context ends up in the agent's context window, great, great.
Yeah.
But don't stress too much
Yeah.
about
Don't
whether this,
overthink that
like,
part.
oh, should this be a
Yeah.
skill? Should this be in Claude MD? Should this be in memory? Like, as long as it ends up in context, that's good. Um,
So
so
far,
yeah,
I feel like
yeah,
it's been helpful if I'm clearing that context as well. Like here's what I'm doing, and part of this for the agent. Like here's how I'm currently working, and like where I save things and my folder structures or my projects, and what maybe I'm used to having persist across
mm,
projects or tools.
yeah,
It's been pretty good at
yeah.
helping then build so that way that doesn't have to change a whole lot. It's supplementing well, and can complement my workflows, but maybe not add new things, which
Mm,
is what I'm
mhm.
trying to get. Like, how can I remove things that I have to be remembering to go check on, or forms, fields, something to go work on when I know it's possible for me to connect the dots
Mm, mhm,
and hand it to Claude Code
mhm.
or OpenClaw and
Yeah,
get them to just do it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's been
The
pretty
other big
cool.
thing with OpenClaw was the ability to communicate through other channels, right? Not
Yeah.
directly, through having to open up like CLI or the desktop app or whatever. But I had demonstrated, my agent team through Slack.
Yep.
Um, Folks use Telegram, iMessage, whatever.
Yeah.
And now with Claude Code, you can do the same thing. You can set up either your
I
own
actually
custom
have
channels.
not
Yeah,
done that yet.
yeah,
Yeah, that's still one of I need to get switched over.
yeah, yeah.
And
They officially support, I think, as of today, it's whatever. When this comes out, it'll be a dozen more channels, but it's like
yeah,
iMessage,
the big ones,
Telegram, and
right?
Discord,
Yeah,
right? But you can also set up your own custom channels. So, I mean, I'm gonna experiment more with that.
yeah. It's wild though.
I think folks want to interact with agents um, the same way they interact with other team members, like remote team
Yeah.
members, right? Um, the less that someone has to think about, oh, this is a agent and like it's different than any other employee on my team, the harder I think the harder it's going to be to kind of get over that hump of working with agents side by side, right? When it's
Yeah.
integrated with your team, you're literally communicating it with it in the same Slack channel as your other teammates, sending emails, giving access to things in Google Drive, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
The easier the adoption is for folks, because I can just be like, look, tell me about the job that needs to be done, right? What's the job rec or the job profile,
Yeah.
right? Okay, now tell me about how you prefer to work with this new member of your team, right? Okay, great, we can get that going.
Yeah.
Right, so I think that's exciting.
Yeah. Meet people where they are and reduce frictions.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
actually making jobs and lives easier.
Yeah, and hopefully amplifying folks, giving folks the opportunity to amplify their own skills. I do think that certain jobs that are going to be impacted, but then it also gives folks with um, skill sets an opportunity to amplify their own impact.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I hope we see more of that over time.
Hopefully, it's twofold. On one hand, like amplify, so the people that want to be building stuff are able to do so. But it does seem increasingly likely that as we go further out in the time horizon, there will be major impacts in the workforce too. And leaving the socioeconomic parts aside for a second that need to be addressed and figured out, then as well, that hopefully that means people do have those things taken care of. So you can do the interesting things that you don't do while you're at work.
Yeah.
That are fulfilling for you, spending time with friends, family, working on a hobby.
Sure. Yeah.
I like the idea of that.
I mean, the fact that I can get projects done in a weekend now, just because I'm interested, that I just never would have had the capacity to do on my own before, is really fun and exciting, right?
The biggest thing that I like to do, and I still do a good bit myself, but I had not made as much time to do it because it just work and the different projects always took time, and then time would go toward family. Is like actually writing. I really do like to write.
Like physically writing with a pen and paper?
Physically typing.
Typing, okay.
More often. My physical handwriting is like barely this side of hieroglyphics or chicken scratch. So that can be fun, but it doesn't make for very good translation later or anything that persists. I just actually like to write.
Yeah. Do you write with AI, or do you write just kind of like free form from? Yeah.
Do both depending on the context. But so I actually have been working on off and on a couple of kids' stories since my kids were born.
Yeah.
I guess I'll call it a memoir for lack of better words. Almost 11 years now.
Wow.
I got addicted to painkillers after a rugby injury in college.
Oh, did not.
Like too many people with opioids.
Sure.
Yeah, real natural reason that kind of drove it, and then your body biophysically starts to need more and more, and so you take more and more, and start making excuses to doctors for why you need more and more, and you go from the one Vicodin you're supposed to be taking to 2 to 4 to Percocet to pretty much everything just short of heroin I had tried.
Wow. So I bet you have a very interesting story to tell about the whole journey.
So yes, I think so. And for me, there's a lot of parallels of my father had a serious injury like the year before. And I think he had also gone down a similar path in
Mm.
parallel, like
Oh,
in
really?
time parallel in
Wow.
lots of ways,
Mm.
but further.
Mm.
And it was seeing him
Mm.
in the ER that was finally like, no,
Mm.
I cannot do like
Yeah.
my path ahead is this or worse,
Yeah.
or I fix it.
Yeah.
But it's a combination of like not making the time, heavy emotions, dark
Sure. Yeah.
headspace,
Yep.
um,
This is the
kind of
memoir, the part,
ebb and flow.
basically that you're
So
working through.
that's something that I've gotten to spend a lot more time on in the
Yeah.
last 3-4 months,
Yeah.
and it's been nice because so much of it is there. You're in that editing phase
Mm.
as much as anything else. Like, okay, pieces need to be rearranged. This actually is irrelevant
Mm.
because
Mm.
it's taking away from the story. It's an interesting anecdote,
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
which I just wouldn't be able to do if I didn't have some of the AI tools that are helping me build, helping me do other things. You know,
Yeah.
keep making it easier for me to signal what's important that needs to be paid attention to, even if I haven't quite taken the leap to just let's let you take care of it and I'll just clean it up later if you mess up.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
I'm sure will come.
Sure. Yeah. Wow. That's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I just have a little like hobby projects and whatnot that I'll spin up on the on the weekend. Actually, more often not than not, though, running my own business, it's trying to get ahead on some project work. So I still have to
I
manage my
get
time
that.
on that
Yeah.
that standpoint. I mean, I've heard others talk about this as well. It's like you'd think that now with the power of AI and agents and whatnot, that you'd be doing less work, but then it's just the cost of not having an agent running during a for a period of time
Yeah.
also seems like I don't know, just like a lot to miss out on. It's like
Yeah.
there's this like angst of like, oh my god, like I can't believe my agent is just sitting there not doing anything right now, right? And
Yeah.
so it's like when you can produce so much in such a short period of time, then the anxiety comes from like having any time at which things are
Yeah.
paused, right? So there's a little bit of that.
I think my wife has probably seen me do that a few too many times. We're like getting toward bedtime,
Yeah.
and yeah, there's a question that need to be answered, or maybe I was running a fix. I've done that a couple of times, and it got stuck, and I wasn't paying attention, and then I noticed it. I'm like, hey, I'm just, I'll be right back. And then she goes to bed. I've gone down a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Because it's fun. I mean,
Sure.
you can do so much. And
Yeah, I would say most nights at this point, before going to bed, I'll kick off something that I know is going to be like a long running thing.
nice. Yeah, it's a great way to do it.
I mean, even just like end to end browser testing, right? Takes time,
Yep.
right? So why not go through and I mean, unless I have something else I want
Wake
an agent to
up
work
to
on.
a report in the morning.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just kick it off. It can bring up the browser, go through the whole app end to end. It doesn't even have to be fully scripted like in the past. You'd have to like spend time
Yeah.
making sure that your, Playwright or Puppeteer scripts are just like, perfect. Just very flaky way to test end to end. Now, when an agent can literally just look at what's on the screen, interpret based on context how different things are supposed to work. It's not even always, it doesn't have to be 100% confident, but like part of the report in the morning could be like, hey, like I was looking at this one page, right? And I was expecting that markers would show up on the map in this particular way. And I didn't see that. Hey, is that what you intended for with this configuration or
Cool.
not? Right. Like,
Yeah.
so there's a little bit of interpretability. It's not always clear cut, but like, that's not something that software systems were capable of, a year
Not a
ago.
whole lot different than
So
the process is just simpler in some ways.
Yeah.
That would have been a meeting.
Yeah.
To go through with the team and
Sure.
download where they
Yeah.
got stuck and what didn't work and
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that's one of the shifts, one of the mindset shifts that I think a lot of folks are going to need to go through, and I've had to go through myself, is like this idea. I hear folks talk about like the basically going from chatbot to basically a worker that can take action, a true
Yeah.
agent, right? But then also just like from a time standpoint, right? Like you think, I think our relationship with software in the past has generally been like it's uh, fast and it's immediate and it's deterministic, right? And um, I've had to get more, I guess, comfortable with or um, wrap my head around the idea of working with agents that maybe can solve problems over a longer time horizon,
Yeah.
right? And recognizing that, right, and putting basically putting them to work over longer periods of time. I think it is a shift. um, and I don't know. I guess it's more like treating the AI like a coworker versus like a software system. I mean, I've even heard from other folks around like when I started talking with my agent more like a coworker,
Right.
I started getting better results than when I was talking to it like a machine,
Yeah.
right? And I think that even from a task perspective, when you can start thinking about how do I offload tasks or jobs, um, more like I would offload to like a teammate versus a traditional software system,
Yeah.
you can accomplish a lot more.
That
So,
that feels as well like it ties back into the amplification, hopefully, for lots of people of
mhm.
either their jobs or outcomes, or both. That instead of lots of people are in relatively defined roles,
Yeah.
but if you start to be able to amplify, like they know the whole system, they know the whole product line, maybe.
Yeah.
They're just, because of whatever other constraints within the business or the systems and tools,
Yeah.
you have to have a person in that seat. You
Mm.
start to be able to
Mm.
think across, and
Mm-hmm.
you act with the agent, or go, hey, here's the whole workflow that has to be done,
Yeah.
and you start to build a way for the tools to not just do this one piece, but
Yeah.
look, this one piece, which is going to carry into step two, and just on, and then the loops, and
Sure.
one
Yeah.
person now is doing your agents, your
Yeah.
one marketing person, not
Right.
four different marketing people with a
Yeah.
manager that's
Uh-huh.
the only one that can see the whole picture.
Right. Yeah, yeah. And I think the loops are important, like you're talking about. Similar, you have to think about how we do work, right? As humans, right? You don't just do one pass on something and then feel 100% confident that you got everything right. In the past, with a software system, you expect that, right? It's like, I'm going to click this button. It's going to run through this processing of this, maybe a set of files, right? And the results I'm going to get are going to be 100% right because like it's a deterministic system. It does it correct every single time. It does it the exact
Yeah.
same way. And now, when you're directing agents more similarly to like a human coworker, you can't expect it necessarily to always get everything or to get everything right the very first time. And so setting up loops to where you put the agent to work on, or multiple agents to work on performing a task, but then evaluating the quality of that task,
Yeah.
iterating to improve the quality, evaluating the new output. It's a continuous improvement cycle,
And
right?
having some of those checkpoints.
Yeah.
So on that a little bit, I'm curious. I have another friend, I think similar to you in lots of ways, like started with the agents really in software building.
Mm-hmm.
And I know he had made a comment like when he had first deployed team, and like loved it, like you could see him there start building in the way that they're able to deploy across the full stack and work was awesome.
Yeah.
He had set up, well, let's run like a team, like have daily stand up and have these check-ins. Have you done that? If you're deploying agents, are you setting up kind of those same types of rhythms that you might see in agile development, or
So there is kind of a reporting process, right? That is helpful, right? So oftentimes, or typically, I would say, I'm working with I'm the top level agent that I'm interacting with, and I basically am almost exclusively using Claude Code at this point, right? But the actual agent that I'm sending a prompt directly to
Yep.
is essentially acting as an orchestrator, right? And then all the real work is getting done by sub agents,
Yep.
right? Um, the What's important for the orchestrator is to have kind of a broad knowledge of the overall goal of what we're trying to accomplish, the broader plan. um, think about it as like the engineering manager, right? Or maybe the senior architect, whoever it may be,
Yep.
right? um, I actually oftentimes have to explicitly tell the main Claude agent, I don't want you to do any work yourself. I You must
Interesting.
only orchestrate sub agents.
Yeah.
If you don't do that, like it tends to want to jump in. I just launched 6 sub agents to accomplish XYZ, but I see this other thing that needs to be done. While they're working, I'm going to go ahead and take care of this little thing over here. And I have to be like, no, 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 no. You're just the orchestrator. Um, and
What
yeah,
happens if
well,
it gets
yeah,
sidetracked?
the 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 benefit of the having the orchestrator is that I'm protecting its memory, essentially its context window, with the high level broad plan, right? And then keeping track of how are we doing against that broad plan, and any kind of like high level dependency type of things that it needs to keep in mind. When it starts getting into the weeds on any given problem, it starts to fill up its memory with the weeds. And I'm
Yep.
like, you're becoming a less effective orchestrator because you're like taking care of all these little problems,
Yep.
and then you end up having to compact your context window and forgetting about the overall plan.
Yeah.
So I just say no, like you are your job is to hold the broad plan in
Yeah.
place, right? And to think about maybe trade-off decisions and things like that, right? But don't jump in,
Yeah.
right? Um,
It
it's
sounds
kind of
like
funny that the human parallels, right?
yeah. So, I'm like I've done this myself. Like I
Yeah.
had managers, the same thing of like you're stretched too thin. There's work to be done. You're like,
Yeah.
well, let me go do that. It's like,
Right.
no,
Like,
you're the manager. You're supposed to be like
right.
unblocking your teams.
Right. Yeah.
Don't go in too much.
Right. So it's really important, I think, to go back to your question, like for the sub agents to report back. A lot of it's just kind of built into the harness at this point with Claude Code, to where they'll, pretty effectively be able to communicate back like what they've been able to accomplish or any issues and things like that. Um, but yeah, it's not quite the same, I guess, because of speed and the number of iterations you can get through, like where human teams want to like take a pause every morning for 15 minutes and say like, let's sync up. A lot of that happens just like much more rapidly and in real time with agents. It's still cycles. Like, I mean, we'll go through, like, we as in me and my agent teams, like multiple waves of
Yeah.
development, right? Um, that's similar to Agile. It's just like, it takes as long as it takes, which might be like, okay, it takes like, I don't know, 60 to 90 minutes maybe for like a full wave, and then we'll be ready to launch the next one. So
That's
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense that the rhythms exist,
Mm,
look different.
mm.
They look different on every human software team too, right?
Right,
So
right. Yeah, yeah. And some things, like, it's interesting, like, Claude surprises me sometimes, so where like I talk about just kicking things off before I go to bed, and sometimes I'm surprised because I kick something off that I think is going to require a much longer development cycle, and then it's done like 30 minutes later or something,
okay,
right? and and other times I get surprised in the other direction. So um, even like Claude itself is a very poor estimator of how long work is going to take.
do,
Uh,
do you have it do estimates for you of
I
the
mean,
work you've done?
it's actually so bad it's just like throw out, because the problem is the LLMs are trained on human estimates, right? So like if you ask Claude to come up with a schedule for you, along with like estimates of how long different things are going to take. It'll be like, well, we're going to need a week to like build out this foundation, to get through story 1, 2, 3. It's like 2 more days, 3 more days, whatever. And I'm like, no, I want you to do it all right now, end to end with stuffing. And then it comes back 30 minutes later. It's all done. Like, okay, you were a pretty bad estimate. So um, that actually would be really interesting. Like, I feel like there's more development that needs to be done in that space in terms of estimating not just time, but token usage.
Mm,
Um,
yeah.
I've thought about experimenting if I could get more confident with just like how many tokens something is going to take. If I'm working with clients at some point, I feel like that could also become a pricing model where
It
you're literally just
seems likely.
putting some kind of upcharge on the number of tokens. Like, hey, like, what do you think it's going to take? Well, I think it's going to take probably about 4 to 5 million tokens to get your project done, right? Okay, well, how much is it going to cost? Well, a token costs X, and then my markup is this, whatever it might be,
Yeah.
right? So I could see that becoming a more standard model in the future. Yeah.
Potentially makes it something that's still sustainable when the OpenAI and Anthropics of the world stop subsidizing the subscriptions.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, because you go, here's the base cost, right? Yeah. Um, yeah, I'm hoping the models continue to become more and more efficient over time. I'm sure they're
Yeah.
hoping that as well. Because otherwise, if it plateaus, I think we're going to be in trouble. Actually, like if if models don't continue to get more and more efficient, because if we just stopped right now and they stopped heavily subsidizing the tokens, it would still be a lot more cost effective, I think, to have humans do a lot of things.
Probably.
We need to get to a point where we can achieve the human amplification that everyone's dreaming of through agents, and we can only do that, I think, if the tokens become more cost effective. So yeah,
Especially considering there's still a pretty big gap between what you and I can sign up for, even on the free plans, let alone the relatively inexpensive first paid tiers, and the open source ones. I've played with a couple of those. My OpenClaw system still has the initial monitoring done by the Gwen model, just because like that's the most well defined of like for each channel what you're looking for, and kind of with those loops, like anything it misses, we fix it quickly, it gets updated, so the next time it's looking, what it's monitoring and how it surfaces things is pretty clear. But I don't really trust it a whole lot more than to just passively look for things and kind of make an initial decision. I'm not going to have it write responses or make a decision like I would Sonnet or even Opus.
Yeah,
they're just
it's all better. And the Gwen model's just running totally locally on your Mac Mini.
Yeah,
that's great. Yeah, I've looked into what it would cost to run one of the frontier open source models, like Kimi K 2.5.
Yeah,
and if you're really going to take one of those, like the largest version, and try to run it, you need pretty beefy hardware.
Yes,
and the cost of running that, like in a virtual environment like on AWS, it's not cost effective.
No, not on virtual, or
even if it's like three. I've seen folks get like 3 Mac Minis, or not Mac Minis, Mac Studios.
I was about to say,
like, hook them together.
Yeah, I looked at it and it was like you're going to spend $5,000 on at least on hardware, and
right.
Well, now I just defeated the point.
Right. Yeah. Though I mean, we'll see what the API token costs, because if I look at my usage week to week, across basically on a Claude subscription, right? If it was API costs, it would be like, I don't know, tens of thousands, right? And being able to get that thousands of dollars worth of usage from an API at $200 a month is pretty incredible.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, we're coming up on, I think, end of the conversation time. Any last thoughts, or if not,
Mm.
I have one maybe final question I can
Okay. Well, I'm curious about the question.
ask. Okay.
Okay. Ask the question.
Ask the question
Yeah.
first. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think you've touched on some of this a little bit, but if I more immediately, like next 6 months,
Mm.
what are you hoping you're able to do with these agent systems
Mm.
that you haven't been able to do yet?
So I am hoping to help make it a reality for more people.
Cool.
And I haven't been able to really do that. Like I've been building software systems, even
Yeah.
like AI driven software systems in the past. Um, but the process of training agents on a brand new space, a brand new field, a brand new skill set, right? And then being able to um, integrate that agent into a client's existing workflow in a way that's much more similar to onboarding a new team member.
Yeah.
Um, that's I think what I'm really excited about over the next 6 months is being able to streamline that process, um, and make it
Which
real for more people.
which
Yeah.
part feels like it's the bigger hurdle at the moment? The actual agent, or the company people, yeah, helping them get comfortable, get it on board, be able to use it properly?
Well, there's been initially a good amount of nervousness when you start talking to folks about AI and agents, and folks are like, I don't even know what that means. Like,
Yeah.
um, yeah, like I'm interested because I hear I need to be doing AI, but like, the whole thing makes me feel nervous. Being able to say to someone like, look, how do you interact with your team today? Like, okay, this is how you'll be able to interact with your agent in the future, right? And
Yeah.
kind of being able to kind of walk through what it really looks like and will feel like just day to day has helped with that quite a bit, right? Presenting that vision, right?
Right.
Um, and it hasn't been actually difficult to get over as some of the surprises when it comes to just like the quality of the actual agent that we have to build and deliver. A lot of jobs, even when they look on the surface um, as like very straightforward, when you really get into the nitty gritty of it, um, you start discovering that the humans actually are making a lot of like fairly like nuanced decisions
Yeah.
in certain places, or there's a lot of like tribal knowledge, right, that isn't necessarily documented but is in someone's head. And so like kind of goes back to our saying like the ways in which agents fail sometimes is surprising, like it's superhuman in certain ways, but then like surprises you with how it misses certain things. It's
Yeah.
similar like that when you're bringing on a new human employee. You can have them sit down and like learn a job, right? And then a lot of things
Yeah.
just start intuitively, they just start catching on to some of the
Yeah.
patterns. So to answer your question directly, I actually think solving for that is a challenge. I think that the tooling that's available now for solving for that is better than it ever has been. Um, but having consistent quality from an agent
Yeah.
is a real challenge. So especially in a brand new field, that it doesn't have like built-in expertise. Yeah.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool to see. I think it's heading that direction. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm excited to try to get it out there, try to get the power of agents into uh, the hands of as many people as possible. Folks who don't have any like technical background, who um, maybe to a certain degree even have some like nervousness around leveraging brand new technology they don't understand, right?
Yeah.
And just making that as easy for folks to adopt as possible, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, speaking from experience, since I sat in on your one-shot cohort, I think you certainly help in making it feel more comfortable to just dive in. And
Mm,
I mean, in that first one, we had a few people that are significantly less technical than I am, I think. And
mhm.
I'm not an engineer by trade like you are, and everybody left with functional stuff. So I don't doubt that you'll be able to keep working on that, man.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Cool. Well, this has been a lot of fun.
Enjoyed it.
Thank you again for coming in.
Yeah.
And
Thanks for having me.